Welcome to First Dates and Soulmates, where this week we're going to be talking all about checked bags and unchecked feelings. I am your co-host, Meg Casebolt.
And I'm Nikki McKnight.
And we are going to be releasing this while my family's on vacation, so we decided to do a fun theme of love on vacation. So if you're listening to this, happy Canada Day to those up north, happy Independence Day to those in the States, and a happy, nice, quiet week to people everywhere else, because us North Americans aren't yelling at you quite as annoyingly as usual.
We're too focused on our beer and our barbecue and our fireworks to care what's going on.
Actually, you know what? I think we're releasing this the week after I get back because I tried. Yeah, that's right. Because I tried not to inform the internet that my house will be empty, but we timed it, so I'll be just back from vacation. I will be nice and relaxed. What about you, Nikki? What are you doing for the holiday weekend or the holiday week? Because yours is on a Tuesday, right?
Working.
Yeah.
You know, because I have my little side job at the winery.
Yeah.
Canada Day is a huge day for us. We put on one of the largest fireworks shows in the region, more so than even Niagara Falls.
Wow,
and we typically
really?
welcome about 3,000 people to the winery. So Canada Day is the only blackout day for staff. Nobody is allowed to take that day off. So I fully expect that is where I will be again this year for the third year in a row.
Well, I will be spending my Canada Day at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with my rock and roll loving 10-year-old who we just found out yesterday he got, they have like different instruments. You can sign up for the instruments you want to play at school. And he just found out yesterday that he got assigned to percussion. So game on, my house will be even louder and I'm here for it.
I love it. I was also a percussionist in grade 7-8 band because I could not read music, but I was not cool enough to be the first percussionist who got to play like the drum kit. So I got things like the timpani drum and the tambourine and the triangle and cymbals, which my parents loved because I couldn't practice at home because none of that equipment could come home with you, which honestly, it didn't matter. You would not have noticed. Honestly, our conductor usually forgot to cue the percussionists, so we would just kind of make up our own fucking beat in the back. It was great. We were very much ignored. I didn't have to like struggle with how do I play the clarinet. Great. I love it.
His second choice was the viola and his third choice was the trombone, and I'm very pleased that he got percussion because that is some squeaky shit that happens in your house.
Oh my God.
I'm like, although I did want like a sad trombone moment to happen in my house regularly, like womp, 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 womp.
It's true. I think that would be good. But like, okay, so with vacations and like holidays and stuff, do you take family vacations, I'm assuming, since, you have the kids. But like, are you a vacation family? Because I know some families like aren't really. If anything, they'll do staycations, but they don't travel. Like, are you a travel for your vacation family?
We do both. So because my younger son's on the spectrum, he gets 6 weeks of summer school that's taken care of by our district where they provide speech therapy for him. Yeah. So we have really limited time windows where we can be traveling. So we travel before that 6 weeks of trip, and then we'll take another trip at the end of the summer. And sometimes we will pull them out of school on those weird times, but we are also a big staycation family for that reason too.
I like it.
Yeah.
Explore your local town.
So, Nikki, have you ever fallen in love on vacation?
Fuck no.
It would be so inconvenient. Every time I read the trope that we're talking about today, which is love on vacation, I'm like, oh my God, the only time when it is convenient is when you're like going on a friends to lovers sort of like group trip, and then you fall in love with the person that you get to move back with. But otherwise, it's just a logistical nightmare. So I have a feeling you're not into the operations of it.
Like when I go on vacation, I don't want to people at all. So like, I'm not the type of person who goes on holiday to like strike up conversations with random people at the bar. But also, one of my mom's really good friends when I was growing up had a daughter who was quite older than me, probably 15 to 20 years older than me. And she was someone who went to Jamaica on vacation, met a guy, they started dating, they got married, he immigrated to Canada, they had a kid, and then he cheated on her, stole money from her, and like, so I've only seen like the bad side of love on vacation because it seemed like such a trope. But then you look at something like how Stella got her groove back and you got Taye Diggs and you're like, I could meet Taye Diggs on vacation. I would not be mad about meeting Winston Shakespeare.
Yes, but also Taye Diggs then.
Yeah, yes, Taye Diggs, Winston Shakespeare. I see how Stella got all groovy. I get it. I totally get it. But like for me too, like when I go on vacation personally, I go to Disney and I'm like, I want to ride the rides. I want to see the parades and shows. Like that's my vacation. I haven't really done a like I've never been to a resort or an all-inclusive. Like I've never been to one. And when I was younger, like in my 20s, my vacations were always like tours or trips. Like I went to the UK with Kentucky, and it was 2.5 weeks of like going around Scotland and England and doing all these touristy things. Or it was the biggest vacation I ever took was right after I graduated college. I went with a friend of mine. We took like 4 weeks almost, and we did like a week and a half in Italy. We did a week in Munich. We did a week in Belgium because that's where her family was. But that was like such a programmed trip because that was my first time to Europe. So I was like, we did all the touristy things. We did all the stuff. So my vacations usually involve doing things rather than sitting on a beach, which I would like to do more of. I feel like as I'm approaching 40, I feel like all inclusive, I would like a beverage and a coconut with an umbrella at a swim up bar with a cabana. I feel like that's going to be my vacation vibe now.
My best friend and I, when we were single, we did both of those vibes. So when I was studying abroad in Europe, she came to visit me, and so we did she came to my place in Dublin, and then we went up to England, and while we were in the airport, we met a couple guys and had drinks with them, and that like could have turned into more, but didn't. Now we just speak to each other in Scottish accents and challenge each other to sing Auld Lang Syne the way that they did. They were like, I'll only buy you a beer if you sing me Auld Lang Syne, and I was like, oh bitch, you messed with the wrong person, because do I know Auld Lang Syne? Yes, I do.
Oh my god. God.
What American knows those words? Just me. I'm the one. But then we also went on a cruise one year, and just the two of us, we were like, I don't know, maybe 23, 25-ish. It was before I met Ben, maybe a year or two before I met him. And so it was just like, we would have dinner with the people at our table that we were assigned to, like I've had, a couple people that I went to their bachelorette parties and met people at the table next to us and struck up conversation with them. Like, there are so many opportunities when I look back where I'm like, going to other people's weddings out of town, where I could have met someone. And like, even then I probably would have been like, well, too bad they live in
wherever,
like New Jersey. I was like in Atlantic City for a bachelorette party, and I was like, no, that guy's cute, but no, he lives in New Jersey. I'm not going to Jersey.
I would never go on a cruise because, one, I'm terrified of open water. Like me being on boats, if I can't see the shore, like I'm not a very good swimmer, but I like to at least have the illusion that if I needed to, I could like swim to shore. So the going on a cruise sounds like a horror story to me. And of course, I've seen the Poseidon Adventure. I know. So no, thank you. Ever will I go on a cruise ship. That doesn't seem relaxing to me because also it's just people. Like if I'm going to go anywhere.
I didn't love the cruise.
No. Yeah. Like my parents have done an Alaskan cruise and they said it was like really nice. Like so I could see like going for like the vistas of like an Alaskan cruise. I would love to go to Antarctica, but again, you'd have to get me on a boat to get there. And I just don't see that in my future going through the Drake fucking Passage. No.
My mom is going on a river cruise down the Danube next year.
Jen and I have actually talked about doing that.
Yeah, that way you can always see the shore. That might be an option. If you're like, I want to see what a cruise is like, I want to see if I actually like it, you could do a river cruise.
Like a Viking river cruise with all the old octogenarians going on their like fun tour. I'm like, honestly, I would be so down with going on.
Do you want to go with my mom?
Cruise.
She would totally take you.
Hi. I would love to do it. Jen and I have talked about doing it a couple times before since she knows I will never go on a cruise ship. But, I think the concept of love on vacation is like it nice in theory. But again, it always goes back to the logistics for me, which, as you said, that's why I think I like friends to lovers. Like, oh, you just got dumped at the altar. I'll go on your honeymoon with you so you're not alone. Love those. Or when they meet someone and it turns out they actually live near each other. Like you're not on opposite sides of the country or something like that. Like I can get down with that. I
actually went to a destination wedding once where Ben and I went together. We flew all the way to Mexico for somebody who I didn't know that I had any friends in common with. And then we got to the wedding and it was like one of my best friends from middle school was also there because they went to pilot school together. Like I was already in a relationship. It wasn't a problem. But like sometimes you have that happen where you're like, and then he went to like Duke and was still living in South Carolina or North Carolina or something. So it was fine. But like those situations can totally happen. So let's talk about like some of these situations and like how they work so well in these scenarios. So we've already discussed the beginning of friends to lovers who go on vacation together. This works really well because it's like a planned trip, often with a group, but sometimes just those two people, or two friends who typically already know each other in advance, either fall in love in that moment or they rediscover each other. There's two examples that I could come up with. One is The People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. It's they're a couple who they like got forced into road tripping together to their hometown because they both went to the same college and they were very much opposites attract then. And then they agreed at some point that once a year, even though they lived across the country, they would find a new place to go on vacation every year for their annual trip. And over the course of like 5 of these annual trips, they end up getting together. Another version of this sort of friends to lovers vibe is they go on vacation, but they go to the same place every time. And so if a family has a lake house, and then they only see those friends year over year as they're growing up, because the let's say that the girl's family has a lake house and the boy's family lives there year round. So one of them is sort of at a second home, the other is the local. If you know, Carly Fortune just pretty much writes summer romances. And so the only one that I've read is Every Summer After, because I look at the rest of the covers and I'm like, oh, did I read that one? No, but it sounds too much like the one that I read. And then Christina Lauren's Love in Other Words also has this sort of vacation home vibe where they become friends over time.
I like, I don't know if you read this. It was a giveaway in like the summer, one of the summer giveaways last year, and I think it's now been actually released as a standalone since the book promo has ended. It's Only One Beach House by K.M. Newhold. Oh my God. Title. It's so funny because the whole theme was like beach love on vacation kind of deal was the theme of the giveaway with Prolific Works. I think it was last year. And I laughed so hard because it's like, it's a family's beach house. And one character goes because it's like, I just need to get away, like life transitions, whatever. And they get there and they're like, this is great. One of the guest rooms is under construction. There's only one bedroom. That's fine. It's just me. And then I think it's best friend's brother. Yeah.
Ooh,
or brother's
I love brother's best friend.
It's one of them. Or it's like it's his best friend's brother that shows up and like they didn't know the other person was going to be there. And it was just like, hey, should we just like have a lot of sex in this beach house? And we're like, yes, you should. So they've known each other for a long time. And it's obviously it's very sexy because K.M. Newhold writes very sexy. But it was just fun. Like the title was the first thing. I was like, Only One Beach House.
Oh my God, that book sounds adorable. And that was one of the other scenarios that I had in my list is like these situations where, okay, so one of the reasons that I think Love on Vacation works so well is that you have this really liminal period of time in which you're no longer in reality. And therefore you can say things like, yeah, I'm totally going to sleep with my brother's best friend because we're only here for a week. One book that I love that does this really well is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Because they are, so it's enemies to lovers. It's the maid of honor and best man in the wedding, but they are the only ones who don't get violent food poisoning. So they go on the honeymoon cruise together and have to pretend to be her sister and his brother. And they look close enough to their siblings that they can just like have their passports or whatever. And you know, then you say, well, I'm on this cruise for a week. We're in the honeymoon suite because of course we are, because we're on a honeymoon. It's just not hours, yeah. So then you have this 1 week window or whatever, however long it is to be on the cruise. But then of course, like her boss is on the cruise too. So they have to like do this tiptoe dance of, oh, I actually got married. Like they don't want to get kicked off the boat for not being the people who have the tickets. Like it gets really complicated, which I love. But that's part of what makes this work so well is that when you're on vacation, you have a deadline. You have the ticking clock built in from day one, and you're working towards that, you know, that countdown timer is hanging above your head the entire time.
Yeah. Do you think like that concept of a ticking clock or like I'm only here for a week, like, is that the inciting incident for people to like behave out of character? Like, because it's such a short period?
I think it can be a factor, but most good stories have some sort of ticking clock, so that way you get some urgency and some stakes raised. So I don't think that is the only reason, but I think sometimes there is that sense of being in this sort of liminal space where rules don't exist. Reality no longer exists, especially if you're in a situation where it's like, oh, that coworker and I don't get along in the workplace, but we have to go on this, I don't know, team building retreat somewhere, and I realize they're a different person when they're not in front of their email all the time or something. You know, like when you have a change of I think it's almost a change of scenery that does more, and the decrease of responsibility.
Yeah.
And probably the increase of alcohol and other illicit substances.
True. Like I reread A Cuckoo's Call by Lily Morton a couple weeks ago. And there's a character, I think his name is Ren, and he goes to Europe with some friends, and he does not have a lot of money. He's quite poor compared to the rest of them, and they want to go out and drink and club, and he's like, I can't afford to do any of that. So when they're at this hotel, I want to say they're in Mallorca at the time, they're all like, oh, we're just going to go to this other place. And he kind of says to his quote unquote friends, I can't. I don't have the money to do that. I blew all the savings I had just to come here. And they're like, okay, well, then you stay here. We're going to go elsewhere. So he decides to go to like the hotel restaurant, and, you know, he's dressed in very casual clothes. And of course, the waiters are extremely rude to him. Like, you don't belong here. Maybe you should go to the tourist district. He's like, I'm staying in this hotel. And he goes, yeah, we know you're staying here, but you're not really meant for here. And this older gentleman kind of comes over and says, come sit with me. And, you know, kind of treats him to this meal. And of course, he's so charming. And they end up kind of hooking up. And it turns out this guy actually owns the hotel, and he owns a bunch of other hotels. And through various means and story contrivances, he kind of says to Ren, like, let me show you the island that I know. And they have such a great time that when Ren is like, fuck it, like, my friends left me. They're not really my friends, but what's the point? I can't afford to do anything here. I'm just going to fly home to the UK early. And he's like, no, like, come with me. I'm here to like buy some new hotels. Like, tell me what you liked about this hotel. And he kind of offers all this insight into how this hotel makes people feel like shit. As we've saved to come on this big vacation. So he's like, oh, I really admire your insight. You should come around with me as I go investigate these other hotels and kind of help me find the truth. And of course, like, there's all this sex, and he's like, you know, this is fun. You know, I'm not home. I'm never going to be able to do this. I will never have this much money in my entire life. I will never have a man as worldly, as charming, as handsome as this pay interest to me. Why not? And of course, right before he goes back home, the man, I believe his name is Matteo, it says, you should come to Venice with me. That's where he lives. Like, let me show you Venice now. I don't want to say goodbye. And of course, lots of family drama ensues, but it's this idea with like Rennie's like, I'm never going to be able to do this for myself. I don't have this money. This is not my lifestyle. Yeah. I don't know if I would actually ever want it to be, but you know what? I'm just going to do it. And of course, it turns into this big, lots of drama. But it is quite nice, you know, to just go and be like, fuck it. I'm never going to be able to get to do this again. I have an opportunity to do it. And the ramifications probably won't last beyond like this week. Why not? I would do that. I would do that. Why not?
And I think also, like, then it ties into a little bit of a more like a road trip romance too, whether they're flying around or when you're visiting multiple places. And you have that forced proximity over a long distance space. You know, you get a chance to see multiple things and see the way that different people treat you. Like, I love that setup and premise. That's so fun.
Road trip books make me kind of nervous a little bit. I don't know why. I think it's just
because the car always breaks down, because there's always a hotel that only has one bed, because you have to build it in.
Yeah, it just smells like I growing up, our vacations were always road trips. Like, by the time I was like 11, I'd been to every single Canadian province, and I'd been most of the United States, to campgrounds and national parks and provincial parks and all these things, because we would do these really big family road trips, and I loved it. But our road trips were like, let's just get there. So we would routinely spend 12 to 16 hours a day in a car to like get to the next point, and then we would just stay there. So my memory of road trips is just like, I'm sweaty, I'm sitting on my ass all day. It's just now numb. We're eating shitty fast food. I'm reading a lot of books. At least when I was a kid, I could read in the car. I can't read in the car now. I get motion sickness. Thank you, aging. But like, my parents used to pack like a little like 16-inch TV, and we would bring my brother's Xbox, and we would play video games in the car, or we'd watch DVDs and things like that. But like, for me, like, a road trip is like, I feel dirty and I need a shower. Those aren't sexy or fun for me.
No.
I'm also not a let's drive around until we find someone interesting. I'm like, do you know what the price of gas is? We can't just fucking drive around. No. And there's construction and there's traffic. No.
Yeah. I love when a road trip has like a really interesting destination to get to. Like, we interviewed Jess Hopper a couple weeks ago, and her most recent release was part of that Matzo Baller series that we talked about. It was the Rugelach road trip, where the rock star gets left behind by his bus and he has to make it to New York City. And the person who is his childhood, like, enemy, we'll say, because they both had their bar and bat mitzvahs on the same day and everyone went to his and left hers. Or like maybe he had a show that day. There was something like that. But she's actually already on a road trip to also get to New York City to the same boat that he's going on because she has mahjong tiles that she's trying to sell, and she knows that the investors are on the baller, on the matzo baller.
So random.
But on their way from Ohio to New York, she has to drop off the ashes of one of her dad's friends in Niagara Falls.
Oh my gosh, this is levels. This is levels, Jess. Oh my gosh.
So then as soon as you get to Buffalo, you're like, oh, they're going to get snowed in. And that's exactly what happens. They get snowed in and the car breaks down and, they start to get to know each other. And I think road trips have such a great way of not just the things that go wrong and you see how people are in those situations, but you're sitting and listening. You're sitting in the car for hours and hours and hours and hours. And you have to talk about something or play music or do something to pass the time. You can't just sleep through it. And I love that as a way to like get to know a person without it being, it's forced proximity, but you also know that there's going to be an end in sight.
Yeah. There's Cora Rose has a book called Waiting for You, which I liked. It's a pretty easy read, but it's a road trip. And it's this divorced dad in his 30s who had his son very, very, very young. And his son is about to go off to college. And he's like, hey, let's do like a pre-college road trip bonding time. And his son like drops out last minute. But you know who does go on the road trip with the dad? His son's best friend, who has had a crush on the dad forever.
Oh, I love this.
So it is age gap. They're all legal. The son is 19, which is a little too young for me. So if I just imagine he's like 25 and this is a post-college road trip, it's a lot better for me. But it is kind of that deal when his thing was like he knows him as his son's best friend, but you get to spend that much time together in a broke down camper van. You get to know who someone really is. How irritated did they get by traffic? How irritated did they get by like shitty drive-through fast food? Right. What music do they choose? Are they a backseat driver? Do they navigate? Like, what's their on the road trip vibe? And that is something that you get with a road trip specifically. Because if someone's got shit road playlist, I don't know if we can be together if you got bad taste in road music.
If you have bad taste in music, then I don't know if anything can happen.
We have standards here.
Oh my gosh,
it's very true.
I was driving my 10-year-old and one of his teammates to soccer last night, and this kid, his teammate, realized just how musical we are, and so now whenever I drive them, he's like, Mrs. Casebolt, I've got another song that I don't think you know, and I'm like, hit me with it. It's like, Don't Stop Believing. I'm like, are you kidding me? You think I don't know Don't Stop Believing? You think I don't know Carry On My Wayward Son?
They don't know cultural context. I tell you, we took my nephew to see a youth theater production of Beauty and the Beast a couple months ago because a friend of ours did the costumes for it, and we know the theater director. And on the car ride home, like, it was me, my brother, it was my sister-in-law, it was my nephew. We were just so, like, pumped on Disney music, like Beauty and the Beast, that we started doing Disney karaoke in the car. So we did like A Whole New World. My go-to to sing in the car is I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan. It's like one of my favorite karaoke songs. I just remember like all of us adults are like in the car going like, yeah. And Finn goes, I don't like this music. Can we turn it off and listen to the Pokemon theme song? We're like, Finn, no. This is our road trip music right now and you will deal with it. Because we have to listen to him and his Pokemon music. And before that it was Paw Patrol and Peppa Pig and Cocomelon, and we're like, no, we get to choose the music now.
We have a rule that every time we cross a state line, they get an hour.
Okay, this seems like a reasonable negotiation.
So like we get out of New York, it takes about 4 hours to get out of New York. They get half of Pennsylvania. They get like, because Pennsylvania, that chunk of it is so short when we're driving to see my in-laws.
Yeah.
And then they get Ohio. So they get like a big hit right there in that Pennsylvania-Ohio chunk. And then it's a while till we get to Indiana. And we're like, sorry, guys, you're listening to something else. And now the older one will sort of get into it. And the younger one can start to recognize the songs. And so it gets better. It gets better when they get out of that sort of preschool, kindergarten-ish age. And they start to like appreciate good music.
Yeah. I love it.
There's a series I was just thinking about. It's the Wild Seasons series by Christina Lauren. Apparently, I'm like going full on Christina Lauren in this episode. This is my third Christina Lauren recommendation. But it is 3 best friends who go to Las Vegas for the weekend. They meet 3 guys who are from all over, and they all get married. So it's sort of like a girls' weekend, almost like a bachelorette party, but then all of them get drunk and end up pairing off and marrying each other. And in the first one, she ends up flying to France to spend time with him and you know, lives in Paris for a couple weeks because they had good chemistry, but he's a lawyer in Paris. He can't just leave.
Yeah.
And then there are a couple that, like, they do get their marriage annulled, but in order to get the marriage annulled, they have to live in the same place for a while, you know? Like, so it leads to some really interesting hijinks, but it is the interesting thing is that it's 3 couples that all sort of oversect with each other because they're all friends with each other. So they're rooting for each other, but you also know that some of them are better fit than others.
And I think, we talked about logistics earlier. Like, I think those types of logistics in Love on Vacation are ones that I can pretty quickly suspend, my disbelief with certain things. If it, a lot of times if it is like people are in 2 different locations, well, it's usually, okay, well, one of them has a job that allows them to work from wherever, or one of them really wants a career change, so they're willing to move. Or one of them works for a company that has multiple branches. They're just going to transfer branches. Like, those kinds of things make sense. You know where this does not make sense?
Please tell me.
The movie The Holiday.
Oh my God, it's the worst.
I love it. I love half of it. I like the Kate Winslet and the Jack Black half.
Yeah.
Because I find them both so fucking charming.
But everything about Jude Law
and Cameron Diaz is creepy.
Sense.
It's creepy.
No
but here's the thing. When you think about it, like, the whole thing, like, especially with like the Cameron and Jude Law side of it, it's like, why ask her to stay for New Year's? She runs a film production company, like a trailer production company. She needs to be based in LA. She can't move.
He has 2 little kids.
Sir,
you're not gonna move your kids.
Have 2 young children. You are not moving them to California. What and they look like they're what? 6?
Too young to have this like stepmom situation.
Yeah, like, and you wouldn't do it right away anyway. Like, you wouldn't move internationally. Like, that one, I'm almost like, what's the point of this? Because it wasn't even positioned as a we will help each other heal in the meantime, and then we will separate. Like, if it had been that track, I would have been okay with it, but it's not. It's like, we're gonna make it work. I'm like, you will not make this work, sir. And then, with Cameron Diaz, or not Cameron, with Kate Winslet and Jack Black, like, he is a film composer. He could work out of London. Like, there's a lot of very famous film score, like, composers that do work out of London. A lot of film is done in London in terms of production. But like Kate Winslet, also, she's a writer who, doesn't really probably want to work at her place anymore because you got Jasper Rufus Sewell. I love him. So, like, logistically, that makes like a little bit more sense. They have a little bit more opportunity that they could probably make it work long distance for a little bit and then make a decision. But when it's like stuff like that, where it's like, no, I don't really see. Even like did you ever watch Letters to Juliet? Amanda Seyfried.
First, let me say, like, I think that one would also work because so much of her storyline is becoming immersed in his neighborhood. So it's not just I'm going to move to LA for you. It's like, oh, I have never experienced this in my town, and now I'm getting to know the neighbors and becoming part of a community. And for her to move across the, to a different country felt much more grounded in I'm doing it because I like the life that I could lead there, not just for this dude that I've known for a week.
Yeah, or like, did you see Letters to Juliet?
I did.
Amanda Seyfried. So basically, Amanda Seyfried's character is engaged to, I think it's Gael Garcia Bernal. But they're like, let's go on a pre-honeymoon to Italy because her boyfriend's a chef opening up a restaurant, loves the food. She's a writer who wants to like do more. She's fact checking, but she wants to be like a writer. Like, let's go to Italy on a pre-honeymoon. They get there and she wants to go see all the romance because they're in Verona. They're like, oh, Juliet. I'm like, also not a romance, but that's neither here nor there. That is not the topic for today. But they go, and then of course her fiance gets all caught up in the food, and he gets invited to these wine tours and go look at these cheese wheels. And she's like, I want to go do the touristy stuff. Babe, you go do the food stuff. That's fine. And she finds out about these people who write letters to Juliet because there's a statue of Juliet with this balcony. And she learns about these women who like respond to the letters that these people leave at the statue of Juliet. So she ends up finding this letter that was written in like the 50s. And it was like, it looks like it had never been answered. So she makes it her mission to track down this woman and find out like what happened to her love story. Well, they track her down and her grandson comes with her. thus becomes a road trip for grandmother, I believe played by Vanessa Redgrave, to kind of find her lost love of when she was young. And her grandson is like an uptight British guy of like, oh, who are you to kind of get involved in this? And she's like, I just want to know the story. Of course, they go on a little road trip around Italy to find Lorenzo. Spoiler alert, they do. And he is widowed, and so is she. So they end up getting back together. And then many kind of months later, when Sophie, Amanda Seyfried, she gets an invite to their wedding, Lorenzo and Grandma. So she goes back to Italy for the wedding, and Charlie, the grandson, is there. And they have like this big love declaration. I'm like, she's a writer in New York. You're in the UK. You have not seen each other in months. You met on vacation when you were like looking for like a love story. I don't know. Like, I just look at those types of things like these logistics. Is that enough to like want to keep trying to keep in contact with each other when you literally live across an ocean? I don't know. He's cute, but is he that cute?
No. No, he's not. Yeah, I think remember saying the same thing about Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where like he goes to Hawaii after the breakup. And I think that's another piece of this that we haven't discussed is like there's often some sort of big milestone that's being approached. Sometimes it's, everyone's going on a 30th or 40th birthday party, or, you just got out of a relationship or canceled, you moved somewhere. And there's some sort of like reclamation of identity that's happening in these. And so part of that healing can come through this new person. But I think about like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where it's like he gets broken up with and then he goes and he meets someone new, and it's like, but she lives in Hawaii, dude.
Although it's kind of implied that she comes back to the mainland afterward to like go to college because she's not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you do have those ones where like you go on holiday because like you're running away from something. Either like I just got broken up with, I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna like fornicate, flirt, and drink things out of coconuts. If you know, you know. Or it's like they got dumped at the altar. And their best friend or their best man or whoever is like, well, let's go on your honeymoon. Like it's non-refundable. It's prepaid. We got to go. And it's either like a friends to lovers where they fall in love on the honeymoon or they meet someone on that vacation. Like sometimes the inciting incident for the vacation is like something went very, very wrong.
Yeah.
And I used to drown my sorrows. Oh God, I can't believe I was about to say that. Drown my sorrows in coconuts and
and if you eat the coconuts first, it tastes better. Very similar texture.
I can make merch out of this, like little coconut sticker with some coconut milk. No, it's bad. It's bad, y'all. Never mind. Moving on.
If you need it in the Tea Public store, let us know. But otherwise, I veto. That one has to be user generated. That can't be us. That can't be us driving that train.
Oh my gosh. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Where are we going with this?
I don't know. We were talking about like I need to run away from my problems, so now I'm going on a holiday because something went very bad.
Okay, my favorite. Oh God, I feel like I keep bringing this one up, but my favorite. I just got left at the altar is How to Say I Do by Tal Bauer. Where he still goes on his honeymoon alone. He barely remembers getting there because he's so drunk. But there's this like big sweet Texan who takes him under his shoulder, and they end up going to the Texan's brother's destination wedding, and they get along really well. And then they have to leave, and go back to reality and figure out how can they be in a relationship when one of them lives on a farm in Texas and he's very grounded and he has a vineyard. It's not like he can leave even for very long, more than a week probably. And the other is a PR agent in New York City. He can't just work remotely, so he ends up planning a wedding for one of his celebrity clients at Wyatt's farm. I remembered that his name was Wyatt because all the cowboys are named Wyatt.
It's true. It's a very cowboy name.
But it's a nice logistical way to have it make sense to get back together, is to say, oh, you wanted a nice private wedding. I know somebody who has a farm in Texas that feels like this. And they do have a logistical reason to reunite. Even if it's awkward, because it's like he's there for work, quote unquote, but he chose that farm for a reason.
I like it. Did you ever read Up in Flames?
No.
Saxon James and Eden Finley?
Not yet. I'm sure I will now.
So it's this thing where like when it's your job as the groomsman to tell the groom the wedding isn't happening. And and kind of says, hey, you know what? Fuck that guy. Let's have a party. Everybody's already here. You got a DJ, catering, guests. Like, let's have a party. And then we should totally go on your honeymoon. And, I kind of do like it. I kind of do like it when it ends up that way and it's like, I was in love with you all along. And my shitty relative or my shitty friend who like abandoned you at the altar, we should just go on the honeymoon and, oh, look, we have a honeymoon suite and there is only one bed. And, it's okay. I'm just here to support you and help get you drunk so you forget everything. And, oh, my penis fell out. I don't know. It's great. I do like that one, too. That's very fun.
I mean, that's sort of the end of Philadelphia story, which we talked about last week.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Uh-oh. Not the penis falling out. But...
Oh, no, I got left at the altar. I guess my ex-husband will just sort of walk me down the aisle and get married to me again. It's Yeah, totally. But, he's been craving, he's been going after her the whole time and just didn't think he had a chance.
Everybody's already here. Yeah. Like...
And
you should just go ahead with it.
Do you know what I loved about that ending? Is he's like, they open up the doors and Katharine Hepburn's standing. She's like, I'm so sorry for the inconvenience, but I actually inconvenienced you 3 years ago when I eloped.
And I'm real sorry about that.
So I'm gonna make up for it now by marrying the guy I was supposed to marry 3 years ago. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's very fun.
You know what we should talk about is Palm Springs.
Yeah,
did you see Palm Springs movie?
I did. Yep.
So you not only have this road trip to get to the wedding, but then you have the time loop because I love a time travel romance where they sort of have to fix all these things. And I love that because it's like you get a little bit of sci-fi in there, but you also have, no matter what they do, they're going to end up together. And you love that as a romance reader too, or romance watcher.
Yeah, I liked that movie. I did think it was cute because I think, again, oftentimes the constraint you're dealing with is that time that you were talking about earlier. It's like how much character growth can really happen within a short period of time. We kind of assume that most of what little glimpse of growth we might see on vacation will continue once they get home. But when you put a time loop into it, it makes way more sense when they evolve as people. Because you're like, no, it's not just, a day or so in Palm Springs. It's I went into this weird cave. And now I'm stuck in a time loop, and now I get to repeat this a dozen times, 100 times, thousands of times until I get it right. Yeah, so I do kind of like that. It does. It helps the character growth, I think, become more meaningful. It's because, you can trust a little bit more that it's going to last past them getting home.
Yeah,
when the shine of it wears off.
I think also the time loop forces change faster because you want to break this curse that's over your head or whatever. Like, how can I be a good enough person that I can break the time loop so that way you have to change faster? This isn't just like I had a moment and I told you about it. It's like you have to actually change your behavior.
Yeah. How do you feel about grand gestures at the end of these? Because like the thing that immediately comes to mind for me is the running to the airport or the running, like someone's packing in the room and someone like kicks down the hotel room door and they're like, no, don't pack unless you put me in that suitcase too. Right. Like there's some type of gesture, like, again, even in like Cuckoo's Call that I was talking about earlier, they're in Venice. There's so much drama and Ren's kind of just like, I'm going home. We can't, your family, your obligations, like this is, no, I love you, but no. And he gets in one of like the water taxis to go to the airport in Venice. And of course, by this time, Mateo's had the realization of, no, but I actually do love him. Fuck my family. Fuck like all these responsibilities. I don't really want to be dealing with any of this. So he goes home and he finds these letters that have been left for him that like, I'm so sorry. I love you. Think of me well, etc. And he goes, no, I have to go. And of course, his grandfather, who's a great side character, is like, hey, look outside. And he's like, oh, it's foggy. His plane hasn't taken off yet. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know why I did the James Bond theme song, but like he starts like, he gets to the airport and there's a big dramatic gesture of like, you can't leave or I'll go with you or something else. Like this time on vacation just can't be the end of our story. And I was like, okay, it's cute. I like it. I don't like grand gestures, but I do like it in this. Like, no, this is not goodbye. This is not au revoir. It's let's do it again now.
I keep coming back to our conversation about Meet Me Next Christmas, or it's like, just get ready on time so you don't have to run, but then you don't get the big grand gesture, right? And so, and then didn't they make fun of it in
Set It Up? Yeah. Glenn Powell's character was like, oh my God, I have to get to the airport. Oh, no, wait, no, I don't. The flight's not for 6 hours. Oh, never mind then. I'm going to go get coffee. And then he ends up being late anyway because he was too much dicking around.
Yeah, exactly. Dicking around. That was it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think sometimes for the sake of the plot, the reader wants to see some sort of grand gesture, but this comes, I mean, the entire genre, this entire kind of series of tropes has a built-in suspension of disbelief. But then when you're departing each other, I actually prefer it when they, like, one person leaves and the other has to figure out what to do about it, you know? Even if they leave, like, they leave a note and the note gets lost kind of thing. I love that shit. For some nice dramatic tension, especially if the reader knows that there was a note and the note falls out of the book and then the housekeeper comes and cleans it up and they don't know that there was ever a note where they put it inside their favorite book. But why would they read their book? Come on, people. But, you know, I like it a little better when they have to work for it. As you know from the fact that I write 400-page novels that are just twists and turns. God, my novels are so
but I
exhausting.
think because I know, and I totally get it, because I think we want to believe in a happy ever after, or at least like a happy for now that will get there just with time, like a natural progression of time. It will get from a happy for now to happy ever after. And I think most of us just have a thing of like, oh, it's on vacation, but will it really last? And I think when it does become a little bit more hard won, you're like, no, they're already putting in the effort. This was not just because of proximity. I ran into them at the swim up bar and our cabanas were next to each other and whatever. Like, I think having it be a little bit more hard won and put some effort, just I think it reinforces our belief that, yeah, they are going to continue. They're going to text each other like they said they will. They're going to do weekly FaceTime calls because they said they were going to. Yeah. Like, I actually do believe it. Because I think if they don't put in that effort while they're still in this liminal vacation space, like, I think it's entirely possible to just be like, oh, they're going to get busy.
Yep.
They're going to forget about it. They're just going to start sending each other cat memes on TikTok or something. But
I think, like, it can start as something that happens by chance, but it has to end with a choice.
I do like that.
And I think that's true for all of these, is any romance that starts with, like, kind of an unpredictable or unbelievable meet cute, at some point, typically in the third act, there has to be a choice. And you know, we can talk about the third act breakup, the third act conflict, something like that. The whole reason that we do those third act conflicts is to make a choice and to choose each other. So whether they break up or they don't, something needs to happen so that they can make a choice to be together. And that's that's why sometimes when people say, oh, there's no third act breakup, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to read it because I need some sort of choice to happen. It can still happen with, like, an external stimulus and external conflict. I've seen this where, like, somebody gets into an accident and ends up in the hospital and then that person goes to them, right? So, but there has to be a choice to be together. Otherwise, if they're just, like, gliding on parallel easy tracks together, I also don't believe that it's going to work, because I think love takes work and it takes choice and it takes commitment. And if you haven't proven that to me by the end of the book, I'm not convinced that you're going to have a happily ever after if you haven't chosen each other.
Yeah. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first. Love takes work.
In case you didn't know.
Take that with you into your vacations.
What do you ship the most about Love on Vacation?
I think I do love, like, the friends to lovers, like, I'm going to go on this honeymoon with you, because, again, just for me, it makes me believe in the fact that there can be something beyond the trip, because they either already know each other in some sense. This is just putting them in a new scenario to see a different side of people. And maybe it's just because I am a woman. I get so nervous when I'm on vacation, and not only on vacation, I get nervous when I'm out and about in the world, even going to a restaurant. Cause, like, I go out to a lot of places by myself. I solo travel a lot. You know, I've done that for work. I do it for fun. So for me, there's always in the back of my mind, this, like, safety thing. Like, oh, sure. I met this character met a guy at the bar and they struck up a thing and they got drunk and they had sex. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, are they getting roofied? Like, I know it's not going to happen in these books, but because that's always something I'm so aware of as a solo traveler who is a woman, like, that's never going to be a potential for romance for me, because I'm like, I don't know you. No, like, we will be in a well-lit room in a coffee shop surrounded by 35 people at 1:15 in the afternoon. Like, this is not going to be by the bar, and fuck no, are we going on a romantic hike or walk on the beach? I've seen movies before. So I think when they know each other in some sense already, like that fear is alleviated from my brain and I can just focus on the, aw, coconuts and cum. How great.
Please don't put that in the byline of the episode. Please don't make that a subtitle. Jesus.
It's going to happen. Just wait. Meg, what about you? What do you ship about love on vacation?
Can we call it like the coconuts and come to Jesus moment? And that way you won't.
Why did you bring Jesus into it, Meg? Why? What are you shipping about love on vacation, Meg?
The destinations.
Oh, okay.
I think for me, it's being able to go on the road with it, being able to, especially if you're reading a book like this, whether you're on your own vacation or like in your house in the winter and you're like, I just want to like read about sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
You and I both live in the north where it's like sometimes you don't see it for days at a time because it's so cloudy and overcast.
It's so true.
So I think for me, that's it, is sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I want to go to Cabo. I want to go to Venice. I want to go to all these places. And I want to just like read about people there if I can't go there myself.
It's it's so true that like that idea of like finding the sunny place. Like I was working an offsite event last night. I was like helping bartend at this big event with like a lot of politicians at it. And I remember like it was in like a warehouse and there was no windows, but if you kind of just went behind the bar, there was the stairwell, which had a window in it. And it was the trippiest thing because I'm like, oh my God, it must be like so late. It's like 8:45 p.m. And I look outside, it's still bright sunshine. I'm like, I'm fucking upstairs again. It's still sunshine. It was still light out when I was driving home at like 9:15. I'm like,
nice.
Great. Vitamin D is amazing. I loved it. If you were to come up to me at a bar, we were at a beautiful all-inclusive resort away. You know what would make me listen to you? If you said, hey, Nikki, I just went and I rated, reviewed, and subscribed to your podcast on Substack, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. You could just go do that right now, and that would be a great help to us. It would be a great confidence boost to us. And I would absolutely order you a coconut beverage at the Swim Up Bar if you did that for us. So please go on over and do that. That would be lovely.
We will give you a pina colada in exchange for a review if you ever see us out at the bar. There you
absolutely.
go.
I will make that the cost of a well thought out review.
You have to write though, not just a rating. You don't get a pina colada for a rating. You have to write the review.
And if all you want to write is coconuts and cum, I'm also totally okay with that.
Let's
just
not
let that
play with that algorithm, please.
I love it. All right, let's get into the big question of the week. Meg, what are you shipping this week?
I am shipping a book called P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly. It is a pseudo road trip romance, so it feels appropriate to tell on this one. It starts with our protagonist, Maddie, at her brother's funeral. Like, way to start on a downer, right?
Yeah.
So her brother had a long battle with cancer, and while he was in the hospital his last couple months, or realizing and coming to terms with his own death, he wrote letters to everyone in his life. And the executive of his will is his best friend Dominic. Maddie had a crush on Dominic growing up, and so when they go to like read the will, Dominic starts handing out the letters, and he hands one to Josh, her brother's Josh, hands it to Josh's mom, Josh's grandma, and then he has the last envelope, and Maddie's like, that has to be for me. And it says Maddie and Dom. So they get their letters together. And what he does is the brother asks them to spread his ashes in every state that he didn't get to.
Oh.
So they have to spend however long it takes going to Delaware, Alabama, Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota, 2 other places I can't remember, and Alaska. He lives in Philadelphia. She lives in Seattle. So logistically, they have to figure out, okay, when are we going to meet in Alabama? And then they go and see like the glowworms on this really beautiful hike, and they have to release her brother's ashes there. And he puts the compass like coordinates on the letters. So they know exactly where he wants his ashes scattered. So like a lavender field and like all of these beautiful places around the country. And over the course of it, they get to know each other. And the fight that they got into, which was the reason that she left Philadelphia and moved to Seattle, they get into it because they're on this road trip. They're trapped together for all this time. So it's a heavy book. It's emotionally draining, but it's worth the payoff. That's P.S. I Love You by Lauren Connolly.
Ooh. Okay, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, Nikki, what are you shipping?
Himbo Hitman.
It's like the
by
opposite.
Sexton
Jeez, I love
James.
I love the transition so much.
Yeah, so Saxon James wrote a standalone called Himbo Hitman, and it's very funny. There's a character, I believe his name is Perry, who, is kind of like a down on his luck dude, never really found something that he likes to do. He kind of struggles with money, and he's met all these kind of like interesting characters at a bar, and he's like, I'm pretty sure they're all assassins. Spoiler alert, they are. They're all hitmen and whatever. So he kind of goes to the guy that owns the bar and is like, hey, I saw you had a help wanted sign. I could help you out. It's really for a bartender. But he's like, no, like, I know what you need. So he starts getting these hitman assignments, and he's actually a really good shot for no reason. It's very funny. But he can't bring it upon himself to actually kill people. So the first 2 people he's assigned to, he just says, hey, you just need to go away and pretend to be dead, because I don't actually want to kill you. So go away. And then he gets this next assignment, and it's this really good looking dude. And up until this point, Perry thinks he's straight. He's not interested in the dudes, but he's assigned to this guy who's like a nightclub owner. His name is St. Clair. And he goes to shoot him, and he misses it, but he takes off his ear. Most of St. Clair's ear. And then he kind of just gets involved, and it turns out that, the powers that be kind of know he didn't actually kill this guy. St. Clair's brother has now gone missing, and they don't really know what's going on. His bodyguard best friend is in there. And Perry is the most oblivious, lovable himbo, and now finds himself in the middle of this criminal conspiracy where people are after him for not doing the job. People are after the guy he was supposed to kill, but they don't know why. They're trying to find his missing brother. It's very, very fun. It's like golden retriever idiots, enemies to lovers kind of by awakening. It's sweet. It's sexy. It's got some fantastic dialogue. It's very, very silly. It did take me like 2 chapters to kind of get a handle on like what the tone was going to be, because it is very different for Saxon James. And it's not quite as golden retriever unhinged as Emmy Sanders' 10 Ways to Accidentally Fall in Love, but it's very funny. And I do like just like a really good standalone from someone who like normally doesn't write this type. So Himbo Hitman by Saxon James.
I love it.
It's very, very fun.
And if you have anything that you're reading on your vacations this summer, or if you're on a staycation and you're still reading, we would love to hear what you are loving. Come on over to our Substack at firstdatesandsoulmates.substack.com. Rate, review, subscribe. Tell us on social media. DM us. We are on Instagram, TikTok, sometimes on YouTube when I get around. No, we have YouTube Shorts, right?
YouTube Shorts are there.
Yeah, YouTube Shorts counts.
And if you want to help contribute to the show in a financial way, a couple things you can do for us. One, you can subscribe to us on Substack for the price of just a Starbucks Grande coffee per month. You can help us support the show and all the work that we put into it, and we would greatly appreciate it. Or you can head on over and purchase some of our merch at tpublic.com. You can get some of our designs on stickers, tote bags, mugs, t-shirts, many other sundry home items. You too can own a Tingles in the Groiny Bit sticker on your laptop like I do, and I know you want to be just like us. So check out our TeePublic store, linked in the show notes, or come support us on Substack. But either way, the best thing you can do is just keep listening to us. Share it with a friend. When you go on vacation, if you're on a road trip, you should put us on your road trip playlist. You can put this episode on your road trip playlist. Ooh, it's very meta right now. Are you making good road trip music choices? Are you satisfied with the quality of your navigator? I want to know. Is it a romance? Is romance happening right now? Is there awkward silence right now? You can tell me. You can tell me.
Nikki wants to know.
Amazing. All right. And that is all for us this week on First Dates and Soulmates. We will see you next week when we are deep diving back into the interwebs, and Meg and I get to play a friendly game of Would You Rather coming up next week.
Bye.